everyone, and thanks for tuning in. I'm Chanel.
And I'm Crystal.
And we are Beauty Babes Unite. Today we had Elizabeth Nunez on the show, and she talks to us about everything from beauty to fashion to her life experiences that have helped her to grow as an entrepreneur and becoming one of the top 10 beauty bloggers in Los Angeles. So we are very excited to have you watch.
TNE presents Beauty Babes Unite, where fashion and beauty trends and the people behind them are explored and given a voice. Beauty Babes Unite. Please visit TNEMagazine.com to subscribe and enter promo code BBU to get 30% off your subscription.
TNE Style. We are here with Elizabeth Nunez of BBW Generation. She has a blog. She gives a lot of charitable donations to Long Beach specifically, right?
Long Beach and Los Angeles.
Okay, Long Beach and Los Angeles.
I actually went to help for City of Hope in Oregon.
Okay, so, yeah, I saw that. The fashion
cool.
show.
The fashion
yes,
show.
You guys do that every year, right?
They do that twice a year.
Okay, that's cool. So we'll definitely be talking about that
Thank
too.
You.
So we have Liz here, and we've met with her before, and we definitely thought this would be a good opportunity for everyone to get to know her. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and we will be able to answer them at the end of our Q&A session. So Liz, now you grew up in Los Angeles. Tell us a little about yourself.
I grew up specifically in East Los Angeles. So LA is huge. East LA is known as the second Mexican living city, second only to Mexico City. Wow. So the population of Mexicans is even more than the rest of Mexico. It's little Mexico for me, because I could go and experience a lot of my culture and what I remember from my grandparents' ranch or our La Marca, Jalisco. Mm-hmm. And it's a great environment that I move my children to experience in. And I just love it there. I've lived in Long Beach. I love Long Beach being close to the ocean. But my roots call for East LA all the time.
That's amazing.
That's amazing. So, during your childhood, or let's talk about that. You said last time we spoke that impacted you a lot. So, can you speak on that?
My childhood with my parents was they weren't emotional people. They've only hugged me or kissed me maybe 5 times in my whole life that I remember. And it was a very difficult environment growing up as an only child. And then I loved going to school because I loved being around other kids and playing. At home, we didn't even have board games. I didn't have anyone to play with. And my parents had very minimal education. I think they only went to first and second grade.
Wow.
So at home, I was the one reading the contracts. I was the one, since a very young age, translating contracts from English to Spanish. And, regulations they had property, so I dealt with renters. And it was a very interesting environment that I wasn't, my parents didn't, or my father didn't support educated female. They were very old school. I'm first generation. And I excelled in school because I loved going there and I loved to read and learn all the time. And I wanted to go to college. I've always wanted to go to college, but there was no support from them in any way, shape, or form to do that. So I actually put myself through community colleges, classes, and technical school, and got into accounting and business administration, taking actually classes since middle school.
Wow.
So I was one of the students that was with Jaime Escalante for Garfield High School in East LA. Woohoo! And it was very important for us to excel and to provide great grades, especially in math, because we were continuing to opening doors to what we now have in many schools for college credited classes in high schools and some junior highs. So we knew how important it was for us to continue to pave the way for now what my children are experiencing. I wish they knew how difficult it was and how minimal was offered to us back then.
Yeah.
But yes, growing up has been quite an adventure. I think that's why my personality now is I'm kind of backwards. I'm living my childhood now than I did back then because I didn't really have birthday parties or going to Disneyland or, you know, just what I like to do with my kids as often as I can and as possible.
Yeah.
So as an adult, you're obviously a fashionista. Was that, did you love fashion as a child?
Well, I grew up, just to tell you, I'm turning 44 this week. So
happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Thank you. Growing up in the 80s, we didn't have what we have now. There was no internet, no cell phones. There was no stores, at least that I remember of in East LA or in Los Angeles area, showing for plus size teens, because I was a plus size teen. And I was wearing a size 12 by 5th, 6th grade. So trying to find, I was still short. I'm still short as an adult. Even, as a teen, it was really difficult having a fashion inclination and finding those pieces. The good thing is that I had an aunt or have a couple of aunts that actually made wedding dresses. So I would design some pieces, go to purchase the material, and I would, talk to them and see if they will make pieces for me, which was very special. And they did that for my graduation, 6th grade graduation,
that's really cool.
my 9th grade, my senior, as well as my wedding dress. They helped a little bit with my wedding dress.
Do you still have those pieces?
No, I had friends that were also plus size that borrowed it, and they never returned them.
That tends to happen.
Yeah.
So now, in the 2000s is when we really took off having more trendy plus size pieces coming out in stores availability. The internet started opening up for us to purchase them if they're not available. It was like a gift that I've always wanted. Didn't know how I was going to get it, and I did. And like this dress, I call it, I know we were talking about it. The one that got away. This is one of these dresses. I was, financially very, very difficult for us. And we'll talk about that part of my life. When I started blogging, I couldn't purchase pieces. I had very minimal money, a very minimal budget. I had to be very financially creative in what I could do. But I wanted to bring that part of me. When I started writing and the pictures I would take, people really wanted to see more fashion from me. So I rented my clothes through a service called Greenie Bee. And this was one of the dresses that I rented back 4 or 5 years ago, and did an editorial for Puerto Rico Magazine. And I had to give it back. I loved it, and it's one of my favorite photo sessions with my children. But I finally found it in Poshmark.
Wow.
A couple of weeks ago, I had my eyes, glued to see if anyone would ever post it in my size.
Yeah.
And I found it and I said, oh my gosh, found the one that got away.
Yeah. You're wearing it here today.
Yes, I decided to wear it. Yeah, I love it. It's just so comfortable, and it's comfortable, and it makes me feel amazing. I didn't have to alter it. It's a fun print. I love animal print. If you look at my closet, half of it might be animal print. But yes, this is one of my favorite pieces, and I'm glad I found her.
Yeah, definitely.
So animal print and color are the go-tos, definitely. So now when you are finding different pieces, and finances aren't always the easiest thing to come by, especially as a fashion blogger, because you have to spend so much in clothes to post your content. Nothing's ever the same. So are you going to Poshmark mostly, or do you have any other apps as well?
First, let me just address the misconception. People look at fashion blogging or bloggers that we get a lot of free stuff, or we get a lot of items for free, and that's not necessarily true. At least on my perspective and my experiences, I like to share what makes me happy. And if you look at my content, maybe 80% of it is all like non-ad, non-advertised content. It's my life that I'm sharing. And when I started doing the the fashion blog post, sure, there were lines that would come and say, "Hey, I have these pieces, we're brand new," but it's usually the new companies that don't have a budget for marketing and won't send you more than one piece. And it's difficult when you're trying to give a experience for that one designer or that one new store, and you're only basing it on one piece. I don't feel comfortable doing that. I want to have at least, a few pieces so that I can test the quality, the sizing, and make recommendations and really do a full review. Yeah. So I purchase, and I like to support other businesses in doing this, is purchasing and empowering them. So whatever company or organization I have represented is because I believe in them. More than anything, I probably spent more money than what I've received or in return because I'm supporting them, and they're brand new companies, and I understand how difficult being an entrepreneur is. And I'm so fortunate to have a following that has been with me since the 2000s when I first started. Right. And I have this channel that thousands of people are viewing, and I have such a unique and very specific following that are plus size, that are petite plus size, that are over 40, that are single parents or have a financial strain, that are survivors of domestic violence. And I don't want them to feel any barriers to reaching fashion or barriers to reaching their goals or a job, because a job, the first thing you're going to do is interview, and they're going to look at what you're wearing, how you're speaking. That's true. And what you're, not only what you're putting on your resume. Exactly. So you're being accounted for your physical. So I don't want them to feel or worry about those clothing pieces or not having the makeup or the hair. So I put pieces and DIY items that I do at my home because I didn't have money, for many years. And I know because people have contacted me, messaged me, and said, I did this, thank you so much. I never thought I could do this, or got to interview and felt confident. So confidence can't be bought. Confidence can't be given. You could only plant a seed and share your own confidence, but you can't force it on anyone either. So there's always a development stage for confidence and self-assurance. And now that we're in the data world, you could open up your phone, and the first thing you'll see will either be positive, if that's what you're following. So I try to make sure that what I post is as positive as possible, because that might be the only thing that's keeping a person from making, a change in their life. Because I know that's how I felt when I was looking for, strength. And I want to be that source of strength, that whatever account they go into, whether it's my Facebook, my Instagram, my YouTube, whatever it is, whatever information I have out there, is always with a positive review. I never do negative reviews. I'll refuse to do a review if I have to, because what doesn't work for me might work for you or you. Yeah. Or a whole different way. So who am I to say, don't do this or don't do that? It's horrible, because it could be the perfect answer for someone else. So my reviews, I make them as positive, as informative as I can. And I also don't do negative reviews. I refuse to do negative reviews unless it's really like health hazard to someone else.
And
other
also,
than that,
with the negative review, you have your name linked to something that you weren't speaking positively of. So, yeah. So I totally get it.
Going back to the businesses that you said that you support, you buy more from. Can you tell us which businesses those were?
Well, it's not only fashion, it's products. Okay. Freshie is one of them, and they have an organic feminine care product. Okay. And she contacted me. She's all on her own, and I love it. My mother is a cancer survivor. Cancer runs in the women in my family, so I make sure that whatever we use is safe for us to use as women. And Freshies is just one of my favorite products out there. and I rep it to my friends because it's kind of hard to be on a fashion blog and talk about these other products. So I try to share it with my friends and family, and do a few little reviews here and there for them. But that's
word
one
of
of them.
mouth marketing,
Correct.
pretty much.
Poshmark is a great resource to finding name brand pieces at a lower cost. Please always check for your sales online. Check for other spaces that do offer sales, because that really helps on knowing if you're paying correctly or not. eBay, my number one place for everything. But that's always a hit and miss, so you have to be careful. Eloki has been great.
What's Eloki?
Eloki is a plus size store. And it's an online, and they're opening brick and mortar stores now. They're bring them to LA. I'll be your number one customer. They have great sales. Their products are well made, great material. There'll be a hit and miss with some designs, but they're great at making sure the quality is there. They listen to the buyers. So, that's Gigi is this dress, the designer, the line. Kiona is another one. So, there's pieces that I do invest a little bit of money on, but I'll wear for years. Like once a week for years.
So it's definitely the quality.
The quality, yes, and the design. The design is can be used for more than the fashion trend. Right. So you always have your staple pieces and you have your fun pieces. But I understand. Like Fashion 21 Plus. I understand the budgeting wise. That's a great place to buy from, and that's also great. My daughter loves it. She loves it. She's 14 years old, plus size teen, and she loves Fashion 21 Plus. So, whatever works for you and your budgets is great. But the lines that I worked with is just because I don't buy very often. And I like to wear my pieces a lot. So the designers and websites that I mentioned are because of those portions of my requirements for my tiny closet and budget.
Now, I remember last time your daughter was actually here, and she was so sweet. Now, you were mentioning that your daughter and your son are your main photographers.
They are. They're my 99% of the items on my blog posts are from them. They're the ones that take the pictures for me. They don't love it. They don't love it because it's a chore for them. And I said, when I was a kid, my chore was like plumbing and painting and, gardening. But for them, they don't know the difference. But yes, I tell them, I said,
lighting for them. I mean, it's not a chore.
It's a chore. They don't love it.
These are life skills.
They are.
And that's
And that's what I explained to them. I said, you're going to go to college, and if you ever need $50 for whatever reason, you could just put a paper on the wall and say, headshots were $20.
Exactly.
Someone always wants something for their portfolio or for their like LinkedIn for their nice pictures, for professional pictures, and they've learned a few tricks together with me. No one has taught us. Everything we've learned on YouTube, asking other people, or just figuring it out ourselves. So the biggest obstacle is trying to be perfect. You don't want to post because it's not perfect. You don't want to, the lighting, you don't want to do a video because your lighting isn't the greatest. You have to start somewhere. And you're not going to learn what works for you and to feel comfortable, because you need the exercise, you need the cycle of what it takes to do a video or a picture or a post. So if you keep waiting, you're never going to start. And you're going to critique yourself. Like, I'll go back to my first posts from 2008, and there's no comparison of where I'm at now to where I was. But I'm proud of where I was, because we were very poor at the time, and it was those selfies in the mirror.
That's fine.
On a really horrible phone, and the quality is horrible, but it was true. My words, I recycle my content because my words are true. There's a time in our life, and there is a lesson to be learned for everything that I have posted and created. Same thing with my Instagram. I could make it look better, aesthetically better with colors, you know, all these techniques. But it's my life. My life isn't aesthetically nice most of the time. You know, I'm a single mom working full time, and being a full time mom, I care for my mom who's, you know, facing cancer again. And, you know, my life is chaotic at times, more than other times. And it's not perfect, and we're still struggling. And I want to share that reality with, you know, my followers and whoever, you know, wants to look up bloggers,
your
Latino
real life
bloggers.
experiences.
Right. Because, you know, it isn't pretty. Life isn't pretty. It's nice sometimes and it's pretty once in a while, but majority of the time we're all trying to figure out where we're going and how we're going to get there.
That's true. That's for sure.
And I think with everything that, you know, you have just mentioned, you do a really good job at staying consistent. Like with all of your posts and your content, I can't ever say that there was a day that your name did not pop up on my feed, and that's amazing. And
Thank you for
everything's
following me.
and everything's always positive and colorful. So you've done a very good job with that.
I try to make it fun. My goal is to post at least 3 times a day, because there's something to post in our lives every day. Sometimes it's, you know, you're hurting, you want to share that. You're worried, you want to share a little bit of that. You're happy, please share a lot of that. We need more of that.
Right.
I have people that inbox me that are contemplating taking their life. I have people that send me messages that are in a real bad relationship. And I know that because of that one post, they feel better and they're not going to make that, you know, final decision. They're reaching out. So I'm trying to create, I think my message will get to the person who's looking for it. And I want to give them a little bit of light in their darkness if they're in the dark. Because I was there too. And who hasn't been? You know.
So now you give a lot to others. So where do you turn to pull your strength?
Well, I turn to my experience as being homeless and being a domestic violence survivor. And family didn't step in to help. Knowing that strangers answered my call for help, and they helped my children when we were homeless. We were living in a minivan for a year, and we were poor for years after. And it was my first posts were in Craigslist, back when there wasn't, you know, my Facebook or, you know, any other social media going on. And I had people that would drive to our, you know, little apartment. We lived in a one room. And they would bring toys for my kids, canned goods, shoes, clothes, gift certificates to the grocery store. The city was told about our struggles, and they came on Christmas. I remember specifically, they chose our family for a Christmas event, and they filled our room with so many items for my kids, and it brings tears to my eyes because we were really, really struggling, and I know it made a difference in my children's life. So.
Really grateful for that help.
So once I started working again, because I was hit with the recession like many families were, once I started working again, I never forgot. And it doesn't take a lot to help. It doesn't take a lot of money.
Exactly.
So we started making lunch bags for the homeless. Oh, thank you. They're getting tissues for me.
Thanks, Gary.
We're making lunch bags for the homeless camps in Long Beach. There's a big, huge camp by the library and City Hall in Long Beach. So we will fill it up with a piece of fruit, a granola bar, and what we call mantecada. And a mantecada is a really heavy, kind of like a really heavy muffin that's sweet. But it fills you. And we know that for one day, whoever received our bags would not feel hunger, because we remembered what that feeling and pain was. And thank you so much. Sorry about that.
No, don't be sorry.
Don't be sorry.
Don't be sorry about it.
And then we started giving out, you know, a lot of them had puppies and dogs, and we had dog food we started giving out. And it only took us, I would stretch, $20 to do 25 bags of fruit and the granola bar and the bread. It didn't take a lot of money, and we would do that once a week or twice a week, as much as we could save. We would recycle to have extra money. And even though we went without, we had what we needed, and we could share. We opened up our home to people that were struggling that I met through social media, plus size models. When I really didn't have much money, but at least I had a roof, a space in my home for them. Just giving back time, talking, sitting down with someone and talking to them. It's not just about money, and it's not just about food. It's more about you. Yeah. And as long as you do it, you do it without asking for anything back. Not expecting anything back is great, because it keeps you wanting to keep doing it. Once you start expecting something back, it kills your own feed into continuing to move forward and doing such projects. So there's always an opportunity. You can join organizations, which I have. As a domestic violence survivor, I was a speaker. I contributed my stories and my children's photography for an art that was taken from Los Angeles all the way across the country, put in different city halls, called The Faces of Violence and Survival. Because when I speak about being the domestic violence that I experienced, as well as the physical violence, being raped, I once in a while get people say, "That's not true. You don't look like a rape victim." There's a look. Yeah. I don't know what that looks. There's a look. Right. Yeah. So that I love that project because it was of women that were not only survivors but thrived in life. They became entrepreneurs. I became a blogger. We dedicated our lives in helping others, and that's how we changed the view and the understanding of what being a rape victim is.
So you definitely took all your experiences and you made something positive out of such a horrible experience. So that's it's very inspirational.
Thank you. And I received inspiration, so I'm sharing that inspiration with anyone that can feel it from me.
Yeah, and I think that's an amazing, even though these experiences did happen, your kids actually have the opportunity to grow with those experiences and be able to give back without questioning what they'll get back from doing it, because that's what you've taught them.
And that's what I love about them, is that I carry in my trunk. I have emergency blankets, granola bars, canned foods, extra shoes or jackets, and they'll, I'm driving and they'll notice someone would need some of these items, and they'll tell me, "Can you pull over, Mom? There's someone sleeping in the rain. Can we give them, something to keep them dry?" I'm fortunate that they were able to feel that empathy.
Mm-hmm.
That a lot of people need to hone in a little bit more on.
Exactly. No, that's amazing. Yes. So thank you so much for visiting with us today.
Yes.
I know. I know you made it all the way to Pasadena again.
And I cried again.
Yes. And you cry again.
I'm a crier.
It's okay. No, I mean, these are real experiences that everyone's benefiting from hearing from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So right now we're going to go ahead and answer some questions. But also we want to let you know that if you want to see the actual podcast and go ahead and re-listen to this, it'll be available at TNEMagazine.com. You can subscribe using promo code BBU to get 30% off. And Liz, go ahead and tell them where they can find you.
Oh, you can find me everywhere as BBW Generation. And that stands for Big Beautiful World, not just Big Beautiful Women, because I welcome anyone and everyone into my little world.
Alrighty, and now also we just want to thank everyone for watching Beauty Babes Unite. Alright, so I guess that's it, and we're done for our interview with Elizabeth Nunez. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for calling.
Every time you come in, I just feel like we should just put you on the team.
Hey, really, I know.
I'm there.
Yeah,
what's the fashion? fashion of the day.
Exactly.
I'll be the accessory to your black.
All black.
Yeah,
All black
we'll wear all
clothing.
black and be like, we brought our color. This is our color.
Or accessory.
Yes, Elizabeth, she puts flowers in her hair because we don't. So yes, and it looks lovely. Thank you everyone, and
thank
have
you
a
for
nice rest of
watching.
your Saturday.
Until next time.
Adios.